Thank you so much for joining the session today on how to leverage tech to reduce your end of the year fundraising stressors. So my name is Denise Rogers, and I'm a nonprofit solutions consultant with Giveffect. I have 20 years of experience in nonprofit leadership, development, fundraising, and community relations. I've worked for organizations and with organizations as a consultant and as an employee, such as in community-based healthcare, social services, both in Georgia and Massachusetts. I had the unique opportunity of working for Atlanta Habitat for Humanity here in Atlanta, where I am based, White for Community Program, and Codman Square Health Center and the New England Aquarium based in Boston. And today's agenda will include a poll. We actually took a poll, and we're going to take a look at that. Of course, I'll talk to you a little bit about Giveffect as well. 5 top stresses and time-consuming tasks. We're going to focus on those 5 top stresses and time-consuming tasks as outlined by the poll results, and workflow automation, key takeaways. I will also hang around for Q&A as well. And as we're going along, feel free to drop your questions in the chat. And Tara, I know, will be working hard to capture those so that we can answer those. And then next steps, also, just so you know, for next steps, if you'd like to learn more about Giveffect or about anything we've mentioned today in today's session, please feel free to reach out to me. My information will be included. So a bit about Giveffect, as I mentioned, Giveffect is a 10-in-1 nonprofit management solution that allows your nonprofit to thrive in the digital age. Each feature is built specifically to further your nonprofit's mission with less manual work and more automation. Giveffect's mission is to equip nonprofits with one platform to manage all nonprofit activities and engage with all constituents. It is a single source of truth, and it includes a donations management system, a relationship database, event fundraising, volunteer management, nonprofit management system, membership management system, marketing and email, grants tracking and moves management, web hosting, websites and web hosting, and of course, smart automation, and we'll chat a bit about that in a moment. So just want to know, I don't know, Tara, is the chat still unavailable or is it open?
It's still unavailable, but I will update you guys on if Zoom is having a little bit of a bug today. So
okay,
we'll keep you updated.
No worries. Thank you so much. Well, I'm sure I was going to ask a question, but I'm certain, especially around this time of year, it never fails, right? Nonprofit professionals, our desk always look like this. We have sticky notes around us, and we just kind of we multitask. So we enjoy doing that, but we have to have these sticky notes in order to do that. So you probably can relate to that. The poll, so we asked the LinkedIn nonprofit community and all of you to share your most time-consuming tasks. And so what we found is that the number 1 time-consuming task was personalized outreach. And that came in at 45%. 45% who answered the poll, participated, answered personalized outreach. Second, acknowledging donors. Third, segmenting contacts. And lastly, reporting, which was interesting to me. Also for insights, this time of year, the top priority is outreach. So we do know that. And focused on personalized appeals to reach your year-end fundraising goals. So we know that's happening right now. Many nonprofits struggle with too many platforms and tools that don't speak with each other, constantly downloading reports from one tool in order to upload to another tool, missing or unorganized data, and gaps in data due to role transitions, manual data entry, and repetitive tasks. I know I can't see you and you can't see me, but raise your hand if that includes you. So we'll go ahead and start with the 5 top stresses and time-consuming tasks. Again, personalized outreach, number 1. Number 2, online giving and campaigns. 3, donor cultivation. Number 4, donor acknowledgement. And lastly, we'll take a look at reports and analytics. So number 1, personalized outreach. What is the struggle when it comes to personalized outreach? What are we experiencing when we're trying to do that? Time constraints, no CRM, a limited CRM functionality. CRM doesn't meet needs. It is a very manual process. And why isn't important? Personalized outreach is important because donors value personalized experience with your organization. They want to know and they want to feel like they're not just a number or a commodity because they're donating to your organization. They want to develop a partnership with you. It shows donors that you care about their contribution and allows you to reach constituents where they are. The solution. So not the only solution, but one of the biggest solutions, that you can actually employ is segmentation. So what is segmentation? Segmentation is the act of grouping constituents by interest, preferences, engagement, and demographic. It allows you to feed your CRM and organize your data throughout the year. And Giveffect offers groups the option to preset parameters for automatic additions to reduce manual entry. What does that mean? So we're looking at an example of a constituent record in Giveffect. This allows you may refer to them as groups or attributes, but either way, whether it's you're adding this information offline or online, the information is going to be provided within one's contact profile. You can understand in this case that Wendell has a lot of attributes, if you will. He's a 2020 major donor. Maybe you just want to reach out to 2020 major donors. So even if he came in through an online process, he could be designated in a group automatically. So it's not going to have you do as much manual work as you're accustomed to doing over time. So that's the option to preset, again, those parameters for automatic addition to reduce manual entry. Segmentation helps you personalize your marketing and communication across channels. So it allows for you to include direct mail. We're looking at direct mail today, some examples, email, annual appeal letters, text messages, and also campaigns. Personalized outreach includes how you're reaching out. So the method, the channel of how you're reaching out, the medium, what you're including, the content. The content is also going to be very important. Remember, we talked about personalization and what that meant. So that is going to be extremely important as well. Personalized direct mail. So we'll look at some of these examples. So your technology shouldn't only allow you to customize and personalize the salutation, it should also allow you to personalize the giving amount, suggested giving amount. So within Giveffect, indeed, you can do that through personalized suggested amounts. And maybe you have one supporter that gives more throughout the year. So their suggested amount may be $1,000. When in this case, this individual's suggested amount is $50. So allow the system to do that. So you're not sitting there with a calculator trying to figure that out on your own. Personalized email. Again, similarly, not only able to personalize the salutation, but you may also want to personalize the donate button. This donate now button here is definitely personalized. How are we able to do that? These are through also suggested personalized amounts in Giveffect. So on your donate button, when I click your donate button, you may have particular tiers. But personalizing that, when you click that donate now button within the body of that email, would allow for Wendell, for example, for his to start at $1,000, the tier, and end at 25. And on your website, it may start at 500. Again, the computation is done in the back end. The smart automation is calculating all of that for your supporter, for your each individual unique supporters. And it's going to be based on variables such as prior gift amount. Personalized text messages, similar to the two that we just looked at. But your software should allow you to do that as well. Again, segmentation isn't only like demographic information, but how do you want to be communicated with? Not everyone wants to receive email or letter mail updates. They may want to receive information from you via text message. So your software and technology should allow for you to do that. Again, personalizing those mail merges, including the amount that you're suggesting that they give. So again, you can thank them again for the support that they gave you in the past and a certain amount, and also suggest an additional amount that they may give. Number two, for the stressors that you may be experiencing include online giving and campaigns. So let's take a look at some of those examples and how tech might help. The struggle is manual data entry is extremely time consuming and prone to human error. So why is it important? Why is online giving and campaigns important? This allows you to increase fundraising capacity and the number of donors. It allows you to easily support your nonprofit and make recurring donations. You can also donate 24/7. So anytime someone wants to donate, they can. They don't have to leave their houses. They don't have to purchase a stamp. I just heard the cost of stamp postage is going up. So they're not having to do that. They can do that on an impulse if they want, if they wake up in the middle of the night on their cell phone. Your system should also allow for that capacity and allow for mobile-friendly campaigns and emails. Ability to donate on any device, again, as I just mentioned. The solution: select software that helps you easily create online campaign pages. Make it easy for donors to contribute. A clear call to action. Donate button on your website should be prominent. Streamline checkout flows. And again, we want to make sure that technology is easy for you. That's the point of this conversation today. But it's also going to be uber important that making donations to your organization and supporting your organization is going to be easy for your supporters. Online campaigns that connect with CRM and email and SMS, to include automated groups, automated thank you notes, automated tax receipts, and also end of the year statements are also solutions. Types of online giving, and we'll look at a few of these examples. Of course, is online donations, that donate button on your website, simple donation campaign pages, like Giving Tuesday campaigns. I know Giving a Tuesday is upon us. Annual campaign, same thing with that. Maybe you have a capital campaign. What I mean by simple donations, it could be any campaign, doesn't have to have a specified time, but a specified program or campaign that your supporters are asked to support. So a capital campaign could last for 5 or 10 years, for example. Peer-to-peer donations, we'll look at those as well. So we know walks, rides, races, some golf tournaments are also, if you're managing those. And we'll also look at a bonus. Simple donations campaigns can also be created as peer-to-peer donation pages as well, which is helpful when you want to increase the number of constituents that you're in front of or potential donors. Online giving, again, this is an example of an online giving donation checkout flow, but I did want to highlight again that your donation page should have a donate button on it. It should be uber clear how your supporters can donate and donate to your organization and support your organization as well. Online giving, let's go ahead and put that into context. A best practice I just kind of wanted to add here is one, you may want to consider urging your supporters to become recurring monthly donors. That way you can count on them more often. It makes it easier for them to go ahead and make that payment, generate automatically monthly as well. So if you institute something like this, you're going to see an increase in your donations as well. And also putting your donation tiers into context is important as well. Why? By providing a description, your supporter knows that by coming in and supporting at $50, making this $50 gift, that they're going to provide a student with the one-on-one mentoring and academic support. A simple donations campaign. This is an example of a simple donations campaign. And again, customizable event campaign software would allow you to customize, understand your supporters, letting them know what you've raised thus far, what your goals are as well. Online giving, also encourage. You should allow for to encourage your supporters to add corporate matching gifts. So what does that mean? Some of your supporters may not know that the company they work for actually will match the donations they make over the years. So we partner with Double the Donation. There may be other systems like that, but it should be incorporated with your checkout flow. Why? Because when that supporter makes that donation, they're now reminded to look this information up. So will the Bank of America, my employer, absolutely match this gift? And what is the process for them to match that gift? So that you would also see an increase in revenue. Year after year, there's so many dollars left on the table because these companies do have matching gift programs, and their employees either forget or they just don't know how to access them. Peer-to-peer campaigns. Again, you come in, you create the campaign. It's a run, walk, ride, or a cornhole tournament like we're looking at here. Your supporters have the ability to donate, register their own team, participate as an individual, and sponsor the event as well. So these are going to be important if you do host those events. Even if you're not hosting an event, you can create a peer-to-peer event similar to this simple donations campaign. It's a campaign specifically to raise dollars for a certain cause. So there is no event, but your supporters indeed would still be able to donate. Your current supporters can create teams and allow for their friends and family to get involved with a nonprofit that they may not otherwise have known about. What's great about this as well is this information would not be anonymous. So your supporter, anyone that supports these campaigns, whether they're already a supporter or not, that information is going to funnel into your CRM. So you can properly thank them for supporting your organization and continue to send them information about your great works and outcomes. Again, developing relationships is important. And also with any system, you should allow for multiple ways for people to access. So with Giveffect, for example, you are going to be able to create a campaign like this Giving Tuesday campaign, attach it to SMS, text to give, or create the creation of QR codes is also available here within Giveffect. The number 3 stressor, donor cultivation. And we know we're doing that all year long, but at this time of year, we're uber focused on reaching out to our donors. And the struggle is often, it's time consuming, not enough time in a day. Many organizations don't have a system or process in place to do this. It's difficult to manage your major donor pipeline in real time, and communicating more often with all of your donors can be difficult. And also difficult to manage all of your interactions and tasks. Why is it important? People and relationships are at the core of fundraising, as I mentioned before. It's a partnership. Grow and strengthen relationships by engaging more often and communicate important information to your donors, like your outcomes, is going to be important over time. The solution: use software that helps you manage groups and attributes, and including participation. So not just donors, but also think about it with volunteers. Your volunteers are your most engaged constituents. They are actually what I like to call low-hanging fruit. So if you have a system that is incorporating your volunteers, don't be afraid to ask. Volunteers usually give where they give their time and talent. So they will give their dollars if they're asked. With organized or data, you can run and reports on anything. For example, donors who have previously participated in specific type of campaigns, and your volunteers as well. We can get a report on all volunteers and send out a specific appeal to them, and create a group and then send specific communications like your volunteers or major donors or new donors even. So the types of donor cultivation events. Galas, we know they're out there. They're fundraisers, actually. Donor appreciation and receptions or lunches, volunteer lunches, and also house parties. We're looking at here as an example of a ticketed gala event. So again, making it easy for you using your technology to create these campaign pages and manage all of your donors, the tickets that you're selling, your auction items, and also your sponsors, but also ensuring that your attendees are having a great experience. Does your system generate a ticket once they've actually purchased a ticket? Are they able to use that? Will your system allow for your sponsors who are not totally inclined to sponsor an event online at $5,000? So can they request an invoice, and will the system automatically generate that invoice? Again, leaving you with more time to meet and cultivate relationships with your supporters. RSVP events, like a donor appreciation event. Can your system segment those? You just want to know for this event, are you coming? Do you want chicken or fish? And maybe who invited you? Maybe you're asking your donors. A good idea would be to ask your top donors or loyal donors to invite maybe 2 or 3 people so that you can engage them as well, in addition to thanking your supporters and highlighting. These are customizable. Maybe you do want the number of attendees to show so that it gets people excited about coming out and to support and celebrate them as well. And then we can see that there's 8 days left. We're able to add these events to your calendar in addition. Volunteer management. So I know we weren't talking about volunteer management. I mentioned volunteers a couple of times, but with these events, you are going to have volunteers. So your volunteers, you should use your technology to allow your volunteers to sign up for those event opportunities. Sign up and also understand how many spaces are left. So this information could be on your website. You could send them a link with that information because you know your volunteers. And back to the segmentation, you run a query on all volunteers that are interested in volunteering at events, and you may only invite them out to your events. In that case, you create a campaign page and only invite or send that appeal to your volunteers that are interested in working or managing events with you. That way they're able to come in, sign up, and all of this information is going back into the system. And when they check in during the event, during the time of their opportunity, that information will go back in. Again, no manual data entry, no manual sign-up sheets. Everything is going to go back into the system, leaving you additional time to cultivate relationships and mingle with your supporters and follow up after your event. The number 4 stressor, donor acknowledgements. The struggle with donor acknowledgements, it's time consuming. We know we have to do it though. Ensuring online and offline gifts are properly acknowledged. Logging in and out of multiple systems to capture, write, and send your acknowledgement. And why is acknowledging your supporters important? Donors must be acknowledged in a timely manner and logging the data. So we know that donors have to be acknowledged and they should be done in a timely manner. And logging the data would allow for not looking around. If one of your donors calls and they hadn't received their acknowledgement letter or that giving statement, you quickly access the system, look to see whether that information was generated, and then you can confirm or not that if it hadn't been, you can get it right back out though, because it is logged in the system. And the solution, software that allows you to craft acknowledgements, not having to log in to Word to craft your acknowledgements and keeping all that there. Again, you're not having to look around if you need to access that information at another time. Generate automated tax receipts, whether online or offline. Automate annual giving statements. I know you guys love the giving statements and preparing those at the top of the next year. And then workflows, which we'll take a look at in the next section. The types of donor acknowledgements. As I just mentioned, acknowledgements letters, sponsorship invoices, annual statements, and tax receipts. So these can all be automated. And so your technology should lend to that. Let's take an example at a couple of these. Acknowledgement letter, again, crafted within your CRM, not having to go in another one. You can run the mail merges, ensure that they're personalized. Annual giving statement, instead of the 5 or 20 hours it may take for you to get those annual giving statements done in next January, let's go ahead and do that in 5 minutes, because everything is funneling into the system. You can click a couple of buttons and your annual statements are there for you to either send to your supporters, whether that's going to be online or if you're going to do run a mail merge and put it in the mail. So you have those options as well. And also for sponsorship invoices, again, we talked about your sponsor requesting a sponsorship invoice. Those would be generated here in the system automatically. So you wouldn't have to go ahead and go into a system and create that and send it off. And then tax receipts. So again, for online donations, an acknowledgement would automatically be generated via email when that's completed, when that donation is completed. As well, your supporter can request a tax receipt at that time. If indeed this were an event with a fair market value, it would note that information. So if they attended your event and a mail was provided, that information would be noted here as well. Again, reaching out and providing them with the information that they are requesting. And then lastly, for the 5 top stresses, reporting and analytics. So I know we love reporting and analytics. We have to do it. We need that. But the struggle comes along with, again, everything that we do as nonprofit professionals is time consuming. It can be complicated to run reports in some platforms. And when we're working with different platforms that don't speak to each other, it can be difficult to upload, download, and reconcile. So you're going to have to upload and import data and then reconcile that data and hope you didn't lose anything when you're doing that. So why is it important? Why is reporting and analytics important? Reports and analytics should provide direction. So direction, are we going to host this event again? Did we bring in enough dollars for this Giving Tuesday campaign? Should we not do that anymore and just focus on our annual campaign? Or what time of year do people typically give to your organization? So it does provide that direction. And in order to report campaign or your team's effectiveness to your leadership and your board. So at the drop of a dime, you can hit a couple of buttons, create queries or run reports that are going to allow your leadership team to know where you are at all times. And then, of course, data allows you to perform segmentations. And I've mentioned segmentations throughout. So that is also going to be extremely important. The solution, software that allows you to report across teams. So you may be the volunteer manager or the CDO, but we know volunteers are low-hanging fruit. So we need to stay in contact with one another. and also be able to share these reports, the reports and the information with one another. Software that allows you to see campaign progress and organizational growth over time. Software that allows you to slice and dice data to generate and save reports to provide impactful data. And the types of reports, there are many types of reports, but I just wanted to list a couple. Lifetime donor reports, Live and Silent, who gave last year but didn't give this year. Loyal donor reports, new donor reports, and of course, those donor recognition reports. So if you're putting together your annual appeal, you have that information and know who your donors are, as well as your annual report when you want to highlight them and recognize them and supporting you at certain levels. And this is an example of a campaign stat that can be generated here in the Giveffect software. We're able to take a look at the dashboard of the goal was $150,000. So far, 15% have provided support for this Giving Tuesday campaign. 7 donations came in, the total amount raised, the date of the donation, the name of the donor. For this online giving campaign, also, of course, it's the Giving Tuesday campaign. Start looking at information so that you can segment. Our system would allow you to understand the age of the supporters that are coming in, the gender, and also the virtual reach. Use a system that would allow your supporters to easily share your campaigns across social media and email. And Giveffect system will just allow you to understand the reach. How many people have shared it? Maybe you have your current supporters are sharing that with multiple people each day. And of course, again, the amount that they've provided the support for. And we can take a quick snapshot of what they've given when those donations came in. And in this case, we've had 7 donations come in on October 29th in the month of October. None have come in thus far in November, but we're going to still work at it. Again, we know where we are at all times. And then for the last report that I wanted to highlight, this is an example of a comparison report. You may want to know throughout the year, like, where are you? If we're looking at 3 years compared, 2020, 2021, and 2022, where are you now? How many donations? Do most of your donations come in the month of December or November? And digging in a little deeper for this year, where are we this year? Looks like in this case, we had some donations, not many donations come in the month of October for 2022. So we have some work to do. And again, it's going to provide us that direction that we need. Maybe we have to change course. And that sums up the 5 strategies as it relates to those stresses and improving upon and that having those stresses in your lives. I wanted to also include automation and workflows. This would also help. So if you might ask, what is a workflow automation? A workflow automation is a sequence of tasks or steps to complete a job. An initial event or action triggers an automated process of subsequent actions in your CRM. The rules and logic are often a series of if-then statements that serve as instructions, telling your software what actions to take and how to move from one task to the other or the next. Understanding workflow automation a little bit better. You also can think of an automated workflow as a line of dominoes. An action triggered the first domino to fall, which triggers the next one, and so on until you achieve your desired goal. Automated workflows are perfect for repetitive tasks. How does it work? To automate a workflow, follow these simple steps. Identify the tasks that make up the job. Create the rule and the logic that govern how your task should be completed. And program the software with predefined rules and logics. Let's go ahead and take a look at an example of a workflow here in the Giveffect software. Again, using that logic that we just looked at, maybe you want to reach out to all of your donors that have donated at least $1,000 and plus. So they've given $1,000 plus over time. You wouldn't have to sit and manually compute who's given $1,000 over a period of time, because you're going to run those reports, and the reports are going to allow you to understand, to get a list of those supporters. You're going to craft your marketing communications, emails and SMS messages in the system. You're going to reach out to a set value and add groups. So that group would be volunteers that gave, donors that gave a total of $1,000 plus, and then administrative tasks. And then you could create tasks, create notes, and notification emails and notification SMS. So the software is going to allow you, remind you to do that. In this case, an email was sent out to those donors with a predefined date as when that email is going to go out. If they have not read that email, an SMS that is crafted would automatically go out maybe 3 days later. And then at that point, you may have a task, and that task may be your CEO is going to give them a call, or you're going to give them a call. If they have indeed opened this initial email, then a task may be created again for that phone call, allowing you to personalize. So you're not taking as much time sending out letters, crafting those letters and text messages, giving you more time to actually do the personal touch and maybe call that supporter. And here's yet another example of a workflow automation, in this case for a segmented membership group that you may want to actually keep in touch with. With Giveffect powered by Smart Automation, you can easily set up automated tasks, emails, and workflows. Ensure that you never let a donor go without a personalized acknowledgement. Automate time-consuming and repetitive tasks. And lastly, you get a 360-degree view of all of your supporters and all of their activities with your organization. And that way you're able, again, to reach out, to understand who they are, know exactly what they're doing and supporting within your organization. Are they giving at particular levels? Are they volunteering, attending your events? All of the interactions that they're having with you and your team would also be integrated here into the system. So anything that happens online is going to automatically funnel and create into this contact profile and create all of the information we're managing. And of course, we still have offline donations that we have to deal with, and you're able to do that here as well. But again, you get a 360-degree view of all of your supporters, which will allow you into the end to communicate more effectively and raise the dollars needed to meet your mission. So key takeaways from today's session. You want to leverage tech to reduce year-end fundraising stress. Select software to help you eliminate manual data entry. Personalize outreach to improve communication with stakeholders and constituents. Analyze data by creating and saving reports. Generate and automate acknowledgements and general correspondence. Use automation and workflows to save time, and consider using an all-in-one platform like Giveffect. I want to thank you so much for joining this session today. And also at this point, we will definitely take a look at some of the questions. Tara, do we have any questions in the chat?
Let's see, not just yet. Does anyone have a question they'd like to share or that they have on their mind? Denise, looked like one just came in.
Okay.
Let's see here. It says, when would be a good time to evaluate software? I know right now it's very busy for everyone, but when do you think would be a good time for someone or a team to
That's a
evaluate?
very good question, because everyone always says it's too much. It's too much. I think that, in my opinion, that it would be a good time to evaluate software prior to the expiration of your current software. So if you're using software and you're in a multi-year contract and you know our software is going to expire next year, giving yourself lots of time to do that. There are a lot of systems out here. You want to make sure you're adopting the best system, the most intuitive system that you and your colleagues are going to agree upon. So it's not for the faint of heart. So I would say that putting that in your plan for the next year is important. That can always happen because there are times when you don't do that. So I do think that evaluating in advance, giving yourself at least 3 or 4 months to evaluate software will eliminate any angst that you may have as well. I hope I answered that question for you. I'm happy to jump on if you want to send me an email, and also my email is spelled incorrectly here. It's drogers, ROGERS, @giveffect.com. So if you'd like to reach out to me via email or give me a call, I'm happy to talk that out, because it's going to be based on your use and what you have going on. If you don't have a software, it's great to just start looking. I do have people join me often that maybe they're not looking, but they just kind of want to know, are they using the best software? Are there any best practices that they're missing out on? So if you do have time to do that, that's also a plus. Thank you for the question.
I think that's so true. Let's see here. We have one more come in. Can you expand on how groups work?
Yes. So groups work. Groups are, and depending on the system that you're using, in Giveffect, we call them groups. In your system and in some other systems, they're attributes. So groups would work. You may tag someone in your system. So you know that you have board members, they're a group. You have major donors, whatever that means to you and your organization, maybe donors that give $1,000 or more per year. That's a group. And so you can add those and manage those manually like you're doing now. But when an online donation comes in, you might want that to compute automatically. So if someone gave to your annual campaign this year, you may want to have a group included that is a 2022 annual campaign donor. So that way, you know that you have a group of 1,000 donors that gave in 2022. So when you want to reach out to them, you run a query, or you already have them preset in the system as a group, you're going to be able to email directly to them automatically, or generate any letters or correspondence to get to them in the mail. So that way you're not having to go through counting, oh, did they participate or support an annual campaign? Are they a volunteer? I want to reach out to all of my board members because it's time for the board meeting. Or we need to give them their giving statements early. Those can be your groups in your system. So they're predefined groups based on you and your organization as well.
Great, thanks so much. And we have one more question. When it comes to adding offline gifts, what's your recommendation to make that less time consuming in my current system?
I'm not sure what your current system is. I do know that in Giveffect, and I will, I'm going to ask you another question. Are you going to each contact name? So if Wendell sent in a check for $1,000, you're actually having to look Wendell up and add that donation offline?
They just provided that's a very manual process.
It's a manual process. Okay. So within Giveffect, yes, it can be manual, just in general. Giveffect would allow you to access each contact profile, like we looked at Wendell's, and add the donation manually, one by one. So you have 100 checks in your hand. And each one, you're gonna have to go to each contact profile. But with Giveffect, you can actually create a batch. And so you're not having to go to each contact profile. Again, it's easier to show you than it is to tell you about it, because it is kind of unique in our system. So we'd love for you, again, to join a session, and we can just take a look at that area if you like. And I don't know, Tara, would you be able to put my email address in the chat?
Sure. Let's see. And it looks like we have one last question. Let's see. I'm just going to paraphrase because it's a little bit long here, but it sounds like this person isn't as tech savvy as they'd like to be. And so can you talk a little bit about like what customer support looks like with Giveffect as far as learning how to use these newer technologies such as like workflow automation?
Absolutely. So with Giveffect, we have customer support that includes chat. So while you're in the software, you can chat with the client success team. You'll also be assigned an account manager. So that account manager will be checking on you often. You communicate with your account manager. They're also going to provide you with training. So there are 5 to 6 onboarding training to get you set up and running for each one of those systems. In addition to that, we have email, so you can always reach out to your account manager via email, and we have office hours. So there's a time, and this is at no additional cost. It comes currently with the subscription. You could sign up for office hours with your account manager. And of course, we have FAQs and videos built into the software that you can access at any time.
Thank you so much, Denise. It looks like those are all the questions we've received so far. Are there any last questions? We'll leave about just 30 seconds or so for everyone to type in any last questions. And while you're doing that, if there are any last questions, we just want to thank you for joining today. And again, we're here to help you, whether you have a question about Giveffect in general or any of the information that was shared today on the webinar, please do reach out. We're happy to help.
Thank you for that. My sentiments exactly. Thank you so much for joining today. Enjoy the rest of your day, and please don't hesitate to reach out, even if you just have one question to ask. I'm here to answer your questions. Have a terrific rest of your week. And thanks again for joining.